The ability to take control shifts you from a reactive perspective to a proactive perspective.
So, David, when I was looking at your company, I was fascinated to understand that you analyze customers' code in order to accelerate their businesses. So, in that whole process, what are you hearing in terms of the challenges and opportunities that your customers are facing?
So one of the things I'm hearing from customers is just how important it is to take control of their software. And that applies across almost any of their major initiatives that they're doing. Whether it applies to they're trying to bring new capabilities to market from a technology and business perspective to accelerate revenue growth, whether they're looking to deploy Gen AI in a way that they're going to drive specific outcomes and get a strong return on an investment, to taking out costs, reducing risk, or increasing the reliability of their platform. The ability to take control of the software, they're finding is a really important factor in the success across almost all of those initiatives. Let me give you a little bit of context for why. Customers now have to manage enterprises as a whole 100 times as much software as they did just 10 years ago. And let me bring to life what they do. So they're counting on that software to engage their customers and interact with them, to run critical transactions and run the key processes they count on to run their businesses.
Hearing you say that they have 100 times more software than they did just a couple of years ago, that's a lot to
Right.
deal with. What are they doing to take control of their AI software?
The ability to take control shifts you from a reactive perspective to a proactive perspective. And what do I mean by that? Let me just make a simple example. So one of the things I hear from CIOs is that they're really dependent on their teams, if they don't have the software intelligence, to bring forward the opportunities that capitalize on what the opportunities are and address the risks and threats that they have to their business. But what they're seeing is one of the things that they share is that as they're dependent on their teams to do that, they're investing a lot in the teams that are the most proactive, but they also feel that they're not actually capitalizing on some of the biggest opportunities that are out there, where their teams are not as proactive in bringing those opportunities forward. And that changes significantly once you have the software intelligence, because you have the data and the insights across the hundreds, even thousands of applications that you're counting on to run your business to make the optimal decisions. And then what you can do when you really get sophisticated about it, you can execute that in a proactive 4-step approach. You can establish your priorities and your metrics for how you're going to measure success. You can empower your teams with the software intelligence to make the decisions at the local level, so it doesn't always have to come for you to make that decision. You can then accelerate those different initiatives with the precision that you have about the information about your software. And then as you execute those at faster, lower risk, then you can report that back out to your board, your business stakeholders, and secure the next round of investment. And as you can do that, you create this virtuous cycle and you change the culture of your company to help them operate on a much more data-driven, precise, and surgical approach.
So, as you're changing the culture of your company, and I can imagine that it takes as much time as you want to give it, given all the technology that's available, how is AI helping that?
AI is helping our customers achieve tons of great things, but it's also important to realize that it's very effective in certain places. When you're generating new code, it's super effective at being able to solve new problems and generate that new code. When you want to use it to deploy agents and engage with your customers, another fantastic use case. But we're at the frontier and we're starting to see some limits about how effective GenAI can be when you're asking it to understand and modernize large, complex applications. And there's two reasons for that. There's GenAI is probabilistic instead of deterministic in nature, and it also has a certain context window. And when you get to these large, complex applications that often have millions of lines of code, it could be larger than the context window that the GenAI LLM has at any given time. And so what happens is that in the scenario where the application is within that context window, the new refactored code will work very well. But if you have these really complex applications, there's dependencies and calls from outside of that context window, the application and the rewritten code is going to fail because it wasn't aware of that. Sounds like a major problem. It's actually a real opportunity because Gen AI, you can actually provide it with that context. You can provide it with the application structure, the dependencies, the call graphs, and it can internalize those super effectively and then generate the new code that's aware of those dependencies and then empower your teams to use Gen AI to tackle much more complex problems from a much more sophisticated applications than Gen AI able to do without that important context.
So I see how you're reframing what would normally be a big problem for some folks into an opportunity. But what are the implications of this?
So it's actually super positive. So one is you're helping change the culture of your teams.
Mhm.
You're helping them tackle more complex problems. But how does that manifest? How does that manifest for you and me? So you and I are customers of these big companies. And by helping these big companies bring new capabilities to market faster, it actually generates a lot of surplus for us, enables us to do and solve problems and do things that are fun that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And it takes away some of the concerns that we would have. Sometimes we're frustrated when those applications go down, when you're trying to do something important, or you have in the back of your mind a security concern. So by being able to provide the context, use GenAI, refactors the applications, and empower your teams, you're able to have them release new things, which help the companies grow faster, and which really help us be able to solve more problems and have richer experiences too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.